It was the 20th of April, 2008. I won't go into what I'd done, but I'd broke the law. I was a criminal once again, and I couldn't believe how low I felt, how sickened it made me feel. My stomach felt like it was coming out my mouth while I was just standing there, like somebody was pulling it out. And I asked for help, and I think the only help that I needed was I needed to go to prison to accept the guilt for what I'd done. And that's what I'd done. 10 minutes after I broke the law, I handed myself into the police station. While I was inside, I chose to, in a sense, punish myself. And while I was inside, I was punished at the same time as well. Because in prison, your punishment is they take your family away from you. They take your dignity away from you. You become a number instead of a human. But it's entirely up to you whether you class yourself as that number or you better yourself. And I believe I have bettered myself. I believe I'm a stronger person, and I've got a more understanding of life now and where I want to be in my life.
Obviously, when you come to Islam, people come with lots of baggage. It's not like you take the Shahada and then your life is transformed. No, your life will transform, but your life transforms because, you change the way you think, you change the way you act, you change the way you behave. But that change takes time, and sometimes it takes a lot of time. And, people do have to be prepared, and they have to understand that change takes effort. It takes, you have to put the time into it, you have to put the effort into it. If you put the time, you put the effort, Islam is definitely the solution.
Alexander Flanagan O'Brien Morgan was born in Dewsbury, 1976. After his parents divorced, he moved with his beloved mother to Scotland, where he spent the next 30 years. His relationship with his mother was incredibly special. They were indeed the best of friends. Also, he tried to raise his own family, having 3 children, but through bad influences and choices, he readily admits to not being around enough. It was his wrong choices and actions in life that eventually saw him incarcerated and later homeless. His last term in prison is when he was first introduced to another way of life. But it was not until he was released and he returned to his birthplace that he made a massive decision to turn his life around. As he passed an Islamic shop that had an open day, he decided to enter, and after meeting the brothers, Alexander took his Shahada. The Dewsbury brothers immediately arranged for Alexander, now known as Yusuf, to attend the new Muslims retreat called the Journey of Life, where he could discover more about the new path he was about to embark upon.
We called it the Journey of Life because this is really the image that we want to kind of refer to, that life is a journey, and you don't know at which stage of your journey you're at. You don't know if you're at the beginning of your journey, or you don't know if you're at the end of your journey. What you know is that when you've accepted Islam, you're kind of renewing that whole journey and taking a new start. So we're not looking at the back, but we want to look forward in the future, and we want to really build and really think about what are we going to do with this timeline basically that we have in front of us.
The Journey of Life is the educational retreat of Muslim Now, designed specifically with new Muslims in mind to help them to build a solid foundation of Islam. This all takes place in a spiritually uplifting atmosphere that thrives on a true sense of brotherhood and sisterhood.
First day is always the most difficult because you have to prepare everything. You want everything to be perfect before the arrival of the attendees, and it's really a lot of preparation to make it really nice and really make it an outstanding experience for them. Then you go through the stage where you don't know who are the attendees who are going to come. You don't know who are the new Muslims. You don't know who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decide to guide and to bring to Islam. That's the thing. So you have name on the list, but then it's when the new Muslims they arrive on site that you really realize, okay, this is this brother from Manchester or this brother from Liverpool, but normally you don't know much about them before they arrive.
The retreat attracts attendees from all over Europe, each with very different backgrounds and outlooks.
We've seen many cases where brothers, sisters have difficulties or come with difficulties or come with a life background where they're going through tests, whether it be in their couple, whether it be in their life. And then we know that sometimes they come to Islam and they think that, okay, Islam is the solution that's going to sort all my problems out. And then they realize that my problems are not sorted. I even have more problems than before. So at this stage, what you really want is to have them to really experience the course and face that question of the purpose of life and the meaning of this whole life, and really starting to reflect about your life and about your past and about the decision you took in life and about what do you want to do with the rest of this life.
Brothers and sisters, first of all, mashallah, you became Muslim. You became Muslim. Wow. That's not a small thing. You became Muslim. Subhanallah. You did the single most important thing that any single human being can do. You chose to be a Muslim, submit to Allah, to be a servant of God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, and to follow His guidance. That marks you out from the rest of humanity. And you chose to be Muslim in a time when becoming Muslim is really tough. I mean, it's not like Islam has the best press. It's not like everyone out there is saying, wow, you know, Islam, that's what I'd really like to do with my life. In fact, you know, it's almost the opposite. And I think one of the things that a retreat like this provides is the ability to feel a sense of community with other people who are very much like you and who have experienced a lot of the things and a lot of the challenges and the problems that you've also experienced. And that's why we try really hard to create in these retreats that sense of community, that you can live Islam in a real sense, and that you don't necessarily need to become, Asian or Arab or something like that in order to be a Muslim.
Day one was an inspiring opening for the new Muslims. So, after a night pondering, we found Yusuf just after sunrise in the grounds, and we asked him of his first impressions.
Wow. Big wow factor. I was well impressed. I mean, I didn't expect such extravagance, honestly. I mean, so many warm, welcoming faces and brothers and sisters. It's a great shame you can't talk to the sisters, but I'm sure they're very nice to talk to. Prayers and that, love them. And I love getting it up at this time anyway. I like seeing the sunrise. I've seen the sunrise twice now, and I don't think I can't recall the last time I seen a sunrise. I was 17-year-old and I was homeless. In fact, I've seen a few of them since then. through homelessness, but Allah's with me now, so His love surrounds me, fills my heart. And this is one heck of a learning experience for me.
There's something amazing for me in this retreat, is the fact that no matter what his starting point was, when you really see that depth in him, that at the end of the day, this is someone who sincerely is making efforts to get closer to Allah. Waking up for Fajr, praying with the group, going to the prayer workshop, learning, memorizing the Surah Al-Fatiha or the prayer, then spending the day trying to learn and understand what Allah expects from us, and trying to really make that effort and make that step that bring them closer to Allah, and spend time with the brothers, remind each other. That is really something, and that's really a step that when they take it, I don't know how to explain that, but it's really beautiful to see that, and to see your brother coming close to Allah.
Of course, people's idea of religion in society at the moment is that it's just not something to be taken seriously at all. So it's very natural, it's very normal when people come to the retreat, they still come with that baggage that, yeah, okay, they've accepted Islam, they've become Muslim, but for a lot of people still, it can be hard to take religion really, really seriously. They still probably have that mentality that, you know, Islam is a compartment of their life. You know, it's a dimension of what they do, rather than something that encompasses the totality of their existence. So when we start to explain to them that, in fact, what you're hoping to achieve is that every single thing you think, everything you feel, everything you do, everything you say, you should try to do it and say it and think it and feel it in a way that is pleasing to Allah. The sheer, you know, the sheer comprehensiveness of what Islam is asking of you, and the way that it, you know, they begin to realize and understand that it's something that engulfs sort of every dimension of their life. And that, you know, the prayer and the fasting and the zakah and the hajj is all part of building that mentality and that mental and spiritual strength to accomplish that.
This is the first thing you have to understand. Being tested and being tried is a blessing, because it's only through being tested and being tried and overcoming those tests and overcoming those trials, that's how you improve. That's how you get better. That's how you get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
This isn't life, this is a test. See what boundaries we can overcome. I've always known that there's been a higher purpose for me, but I've never knew what. I thought maybe it was maybe business, employment or something like that. But when I was over in Durham way staying, I had 2 of my own businesses and I still wasn't happy. It doesn't matter how much money I can make in the world, without my family, I didn't feel like it was anything. I was alone. I just feel like I've got such a big family now. And it does it. In a sense, it makes me feel like welling up. Because through bad choices, I've not really had as much fun as what I've had here. But there's more to come.
No retreat would be complete without the odd team-building exercise. And the journey of life has many ways to build kinship and love amongst the brothers. If you give us 5 of your cups, we'll give you another plank of wood back.
No.
Okay, they don't want to do the deal.
How much are the cups worth?
5 cups for a plank of wood.
But how much are these cups?
Huh? No, 10 points.
Forget that. Come on. Come, join us. Be careful, don't go from it. You have to take this. Just take it more safer. Come on. Little more space. Come on.
Can somebody explain what's going on?
We don't know what we're doing.
Basically, we have
This
to
is our
flip
ship.
this cloth and extend
The black cloth is our ship, and we cannot step off, otherwise we drown. So we have to get those
Enough with the
cups.
interview, bro. You're not on TV. Let's go that way.
No, we can't because it's too far.
It's 5 more cups. It's fine.
Ben is from Oxford and took his Shahada after a long search for balance and understanding. Originally, he was a staunch atheist.
As an atheist, I believe there was no God and there was no purpose to life. You make your own purposes. So that's what I was doing. I was making up things to pass the time away. And everything was a phase. I really liked something or an ideology one time, and then you'd go straight off it and go into something else. And I came to think that that's not the reason of life, really. And it's quite a depressing reality that there's no actual reason for life, and you've got to fill it yourself. Humans aren't. Well, I wasn't good enough to fill that myself, really. And so I accepted that was reality, and I just started carrying on researching philosophies, religions, just through interest. And for some reason, Islam stuck out like a sore thumb for me. I always realised Islam and went and researched Islam, and then watched a movie called The Message about the Prophet, peace be upon him. And after that, I dreamt about Islam every day. So because I kept dreaming about it, I used to wake up with butterflies for some reason. I didn't know why. So all I did was research Islam, and then I had a feeling that this is the truth. But the thing is, my doubts were going, no, don't be stupid, Islam, God, you're an atheist, you know what I mean? And I had a lot of doubts, so I was really looking hard at evidence against Islam to make sure I wasn't blindly following anything. And the more I looked, the more certain I was it's true. So that's when I took my Shahada, and then started my life as a Muslim.
That's what was easy in their life. Right? That's what it came. Most of the time, that's what it is. Yeah, they preferred the life of this world. All right. Yes, because the other path that went to paradise was tough. It was difficult. It was hard. It meant sacrifice. It meant this. It meant that. Right. And the path to hell was broad and open and easy.
Mikhail is a journalist, investigator, and prolific writer about paranormal activities.
The opportunity to come to this retreat, in a way, was I was looking, I think, for a grounding in basics, an opportunity to ask questions, to fill in gaps that maybe, I hadn't, questions I maybe should have asked other people and didn't, to hear other people's experiences, to be amongst other reverts, right? Because sometimes, right, even though I think of myself as a hard-bitten journalist, when you're amongst people who know an awful lot more about something than you do, right, you still feel that intimidation, you feel like the new kid on the block, right? And at 53, you don't want to feel like the new kid on the block.
Whilst investigating a mysterious paranormal attack, he was led to the Quran.
And so I thought, how come this book that was over 1,000 years old had answers to some of these very basic questions about the afterlife, about the nature of what, in the world of paranormal research, they're called ghosts, poltergeists, all of these things. And it was like the Quran had it all tied up over 1,000 years, over a millennium ago. So you can understand from a professional point of view, this riveted me. And I started speaking to my wife and I said, this is incredible. I said, now I understand why my son feels the way that he does. So we got invited down to this brother's house, and then his brother, who lives next door, came in, and we ended up taking the Shahada, right? And this was the really cool bit, okay, and I love this story, and I love telling it. My son did not know that we'd taken the Shahada, and nor did his wife. And so his friend rang him up on the mobile phone, and he said, Aaron, I've got 2 reverts of my own. He said, I want you have a word with them if you don't mind, bro. He says, and give them the benefit of your experience. You're a revert. Can you talk to them for a few minutes? And my son said, yeah, no problem. So he came on the phone and I said, Salam alaikum. And my son said, wa alaikum salam. He said, to whom am I speaking? And I just waited and I just said, it's your father. And there was like this deafening silence, right? And then the pennies all fell into place in his head. And he realised this was his dad telling him he'd taken the shahada, right? And he got so excited, man. And then he says, what about my mother? Right? I said, it's okay, calm down, I'll put you on, right? And I give him his mother. And there was tears all round. And then the next thing I remember, it was crazy, right? This house just seemed to fill. There was brothers from all over the street coming in, and the house next door. And there were tears. And you know what it's like. Every Muslim's been through it, man. And you know when you feel a hand on your back and that hug, it's like nothing else you've ever felt. That warmth just burns straight through you. Right? It's just, you know, we were buzzing, absolutely just electric.
The most beautiful thing in this whole life is to taste the sweetness of living Islam. When you live Islam, when Islam is real in your life, you will truly understand that it is the most beautiful thing that a human being can experience in this life.
Before I came out here, I expected it to be educational in the sense of how it's been educational in the past for me, just learning the Quran and reading it and trying to explain what it is, but it's not like that at all. The lectures actually change your perception of what the reality is and change your perception of what Islam is and what God is. And that's a very big change. And to be honest, I'll have to go home and really meditate and think about what I've learned. I'm going to take my religion so much seriously now, and live my life in worship instead of living my life and then worshipping. My life will be worship, not I'll set time to worship. My whole life will be worship.
I have to raise the bar now in terms of my own, the effort that I'm making, right? It's not an effort to be a Muslim, right? It's a blessing. But it's a spiritual path that requires commitment, you know? I mean, a brother said yesterday, it's not this sort of thing where you just go to church once a week or once a year or whatever and then, well, that's it, I've done my bit. It ain't that sort of thing, right? You have to commit yourself. So I've realised now the areas where I need to work harder on some of the fundamentals. I need to lose my journalistic curiosity about some of the less important things, and I need to focus on things like the salat and, you know, the basic things. So I think I've had my attitude adjusted, and I know what I have to do.
When I took my shahada, I wasn't praying all the time, and because I never knew how to pray, I was just copying people, mimicking, and there's no point in my eyes in mimicking it if you don't actually understand it, like I've been taught while I've been here. Now I know the words, I know how to pray now as well, and I'm learning more and more as I go along, as the day progresses. And I'm proud to pray, so proud to pray. I came here Thursday night, it was too warm, I woke up sweating. Friday night, the same. Whereas last night, before I went to bed, and it's the first time I've done this, I prayed to Allah and asked Him, begged Him for a peaceful sleep. And I got one of the best sleeps. Never sweated one drip. And it was beautiful. It was overpowering. It just goes to show what a bit of faith can do.
This is what I've always been looking for. I have. I just never knew it until it happened. Until I walked by that door that day, they were doing an exhibition, and I decided I no longer wanted to have the life that I had before. I wanted a new life. I wanted to love someone and to be loved. And I want to go to heaven.
When I see someone going through those stages, when he really choose to make that effort, to make that commitment, to make those steps, to stand in the prayer or to be on his own and trying to learn. What it really gives you is that it gives you the drive, and it gives you the fruits of what you're doing. Because basically you're opening doors, you're opening alternatives, and what you realize is that when he's going back in his challenges, that you might have given him just one thing, just one small thing that might make the difference, that might help him to come out of a situation that might make him think about something and take the right decision on that day. Part of the topics of this retreat were the journey of life, and really this retreat is a journey, not for the attendees only, but for all of us. And the most uplifting and the biggest hope for me is that they're not on their own. If they've decided now to live their life and try to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will be there to help them. As long as they're sincere, they're making steps towards Him, He will not let them down. And He will take them, and He will guide them, and He will be on their side.
I do know where I want to be, right? But at the same time, I'm scared. I am scared. The fears are losing my family, but when I think about it, I'm never ever going to lose my family. I've got my brothers and sisters that surround me everywhere. But that's just my view. But I would say if you were seriously considering becoming a Muslim, open your eyes and go for it. Honestly. You won't have any regrets. You might have a few hurdles to jump over on the way, but you'll clear them, so long as you keep the faith. And stick to your 5 daily prayers. Because it's no hard if you really put your mind to it. I mean, 5 daily prayers for a life of eternal life and love is really worth it. It's worth it.
عجيب أمر دنيانا عجيب غريب ما ترى فيها غريب عجيب أمر دنيانا عجيب غريب ما ترى فيها غريب تراها تجمع الأضداد حتى يحار لفهمها الفطن اللبيب عجيب أمر دنيانا عجيب عجيب أمر دنيانا عجيب غريب ما ترى